Hello, Zoe here. I'm recording a video to talk you through Trello. Trello is a brilliant organizational tool. I use it every single day in my business and it's completely free. There is a premium option, but I don't think you'll need it. Quite frankly, the basic plan is perfect for mapping out bits and pieces to do with your business, your personal life, whatever it is you choose to use Trello for. The functionality is great. It's really simple to use. It's drag and drop. And just a great way of getting ideas out of your head, off scrappy bits of paper and into a concise and organised list. So I really wanted to introduce you to this because I use it, as I say, in my business, and I believe that if you aren't using it, you could find it useful. Certainly when it comes to storing ideas and mapping out like an editorial calendar for your blog, that's an obvious use for this. And like I say, one that I use for my personal projects, my own business, and then also when collaborating with clients, we map out an editorial calendar relating to a blog with all the ideas categorized, organized, listed, and or sorted out by date basically for when, so we know at any given point what the current content is that we should be working on. So I wanted to talk you through how you might map out a very basic blog plan because, as I say, that's a really obvious way that you could use this functionality to get organized. So I hope you find it useful. If you've created a Trello account, you will come to a very basic visual like this one. This is board. This is a board. You can have multiple boards. So this is my first and only board in this demo account, and I have already named it blog plan. I mean, you can change the title at any time simply by clicking on the box and changing accordingly. They usually get set up with a background, often a blue or a green, but if you don't like that or you want to make it a bit more interesting, you can go to the right hand side where it says show menu, click on that. You can either choose an alternative colour or you can add a photo from the Unsplash directory. I often tend to choose something pretty peaceful and relaxing, uncluttered. That's what I prefer anyway, so that there's not too much going on in the background to distract me from the actual things that I'm trying to organise. So, I mean, look at all these gorgeous images. So, yeah, easy to choose something just simply by clicking on it, and it will upload it into the background. So, whatever your preference, just choose something basically and go with that. Or you've got the option to add a custom image if you wanted to add one of your own. So coming back to the main board area, I'll talk through a few more features that are in that menu area. But for now, let's just talk about how Trello is actually set up. So we've got the title here. I can place that as a starred highlighted item if I wish to. So when you get to the point where you've got multiple boards, that's a useful functionality because that will ensure that a board, which if you're marking it as a priority board, appears at the top of your account rather than getting lost in a whole long list. But until you have a number of boards, this probably isn't a function you need to worry too much about. But what this is telling me at the top is that this is my account, this is a personal board, and it's a private board. So only myself or any board members can see this, but at the moment it is just me on here. But there is the option to collaborate and to invite other people to your board. And like I say, this is really useful for when you're collaborating with someone else, perhaps another team member. Perhaps you've got a virtual assistant, or perhaps you're working with someone like myself who's actually helping copy, write and organize your blog for you. So it's really easy to invite people to the board, and then any updates made by either person on the board or any person, if it's multiple people, are made automatically to that board and everyone can see those updates. So it's really, really great for collaboration. So how it works with Trello, think of it as ultimately just a big pin board, almost like Pinterest in a way, in that you can create lists and then lists of those things that you like to store. So it could be blog ideas, it could be workflows, it could be anything. It could be lists to articles, press coverage, social media posts that you want to repurpose, anything really. But ultimately, you've got one board. Within that board, you can have lists, and it's encouraging me here to create a list title. So let's say, for example, blog ideas. And then within each list, which is this left-hand area that I've now created, I can create cards. So it's board, list, and card. So for example, if I was to type in a blog idea such as what to wear to a family photography session, let's just say as an example, press enter, and then it creates a card, and then it automatically goes on to give you room to create another card. So let's just say I'm going to put another blog idea here. I'll just put this for now, blog idea 3, but you get the idea. You can literally hit enter and it creates a list. Within each of these cards, this is where you'll find more options and ways to customize the content. So this is really great that it's got functionality such as the ability to add members to the card. So again, you don't have to invite people to just the entire board. They could be invited to specific cards or lists. Labels are really useful. For example, I've already pre-populated, for example, like a family label. So I would select this to add that to my card because I know that this is going to be a family related blog. Now, how I did that was I just quickly clicked on the pencil icon to the right here, and I might say baby photography, for example, I want to be yellow. So I type that in, it's selected yellow, I hit save. And if I wanted to add that to this card, I don't, but if I did, all I do would just click it there, and to remove it, I just click it off. So that gives me a really visual way of categorizing blog ideas as well. So perhaps you are a baby and family photographer, you might want to have those categories, you might want to have even more depending on the other areas of photography that you provide. But yeah, labels can be really useful because it's just a visual way of sorting everything out and categorizing it. So to come out of there, you can then see further options. You can add a checklist. Checklists are unbelievably useful. You can name the checklist something specific, or you can actually just leave it as checklist, and it will literally create a list within this card. So for example, because we're talking about planning our blog, we might want to have a checklist such as brainstorm idea and main points. We might want to do an initial draft for our blog. We might want to do a second edit, and we might want to do a final check. We might want to create some blog images, for example. We might want to research hashtags for when we're sharing this on social media, etc., etc. So what you can do, as you can see, is just edit those options. You can actually also move them around by clicking and dragging. So if you don't necessarily type them in the right order first time, don't worry. They can all be moved around. They can be deleted as well. You can assign people to certain tasks within that checklist, and you can create due dates for those items as well. So this is a really great way of mapping out a workflow and keeping it there so that you can actually then, as you go through the tasks, you can tick off the items, and then it will obviously tell you how much of the total list you've actually completed. So that is a fantastic way of kind of reproducing a method or a process that you go through. With blogging, you know, obviously there is a system that you'll be following every single time you do it. So I highly recommend using this functionality within Trello to create your workflow, whatever that might look like. And I don't believe there's a limit to the number of items that you can put into a checklist. I'm sure it's more than adequate for what you'd need within your blog workflow. So yeah, add those in, move them around as necessary, and tick them off as you go. The other thing you can do is you can assign a due date. So this is fantastic for the purpose of what we're trying to do here, which is create an editorial calendar, a content plan. We want to be able to assign a due date. For example, it's 22nd of June today. So, you know, let's say this is going to be a blog we want to publish this time next week. We select the date, we hit save, and then up here is our due date. And then when we get close to that due date, this grey background will change colour. It will go red if it's overdue. I believe it goes green when you've actually completed it. So yeah, it's just kind of helps you to, again, see when the due date's coming up and what your priorities are. The other great thing about that, and I'll show you that in a second, is the fact that with a due date assigned to this card, we can actually view it in a calendar view, and you can actually map out all of your blog ideas and see where in the calendar each item is appearing and when things need to be published, for example. You can also add attachments. This is useful if you've got a particular file, perhaps an image, maybe a link to your website, or maybe even that you've seen a blog that has inspired your own blog idea and you want to include some attachments from the web, a link from the web, sorry, or some attachments that you've seen on Pinterest, things that interest you and might inspire your own writing. So this is the section that you can use to do that. You can also assign a cover to this card. I mean, that is a feature to help make Trello look a bit prettier, but in terms of its basic functionality, it's not necessary. There are power-ups, which are essentially sort of tools for making Trello work even better than this that I'm showing you. But all you really need for this is the calendar power-up, which is already added onto the board. So we don't actually need to do anything else than that. As I say, there is a premium version of Trello, and you know, there are some pretty advanced sort of power-ups available, but they'll only be limited on the free plan. There's also actions further down here: moving, copying, making this card a template, and watching that board. So that means that when changes are made, you'll get notifications, or you can archive and share as well. So all fairly self-explanatory. I'll just mention the make template option. If I was to click that, that then creates a green box with a tick. And again, at the top, it tells me this is now a template card. Now, this is a useful functionality if you are, like in this instance, creating a workflow to save us having to like recreate this workflow, which might end up being sort of 10, 15 steps long. We could set it up once, create it as a template card, and then we can create subsequent cards from this template. So I'll do that now just to show you what I mean. Create the card from a template, and then it pops up. It gives you the option to change the title. So let's just say newborn photography, frequently asked questions, for example, might be the next blog that you want to do. So what it's going to do, the whole purpose of this is that we want to keep the checklist on the existing template card. So yes, we certainly want to keep the checklist. We might not want to include the label, because actually the label for this one would be baby or newborn related. So I've deselected that because I don't want the family label to be carried through. And right now I have only actually got one list within this board, which is blog ideas. But had I got multiple lists set up in this board, then I'd be able to select which one I wanted there. And then I create the card. So then what you'll see is that this has actually then been created, and it's lacking a label at the moment. So let's just go in and perhaps assign the baby label. We might want to assign the due date for that blog as being Friday the 3rd. And as I've done before, and then you'll see that the checklist that we had on the original card has been pulled through. So again, you can edit, you can move. It's now specific to this card. Okay, and then to get out of the card at any point is just that cross box on the top right corner. So because we only had that one list, as I say, it's automatically gone there because we didn't have any other lists. But what I would recommend now is actually mapping out the months of the year. We're in June, so I'm just starting with June at the moment, but obviously you could do the full 12-month calendar. I'll just do a few so that you get the idea. But then right now we've got 2 blog post ideas, but obviously you would fill this list with all the ideas that you have, which I'm hoping are far more than that. And then the point is that you can actually then assign a date, as we have done in the card already. And we've said that this is going to be the 3rd of July that we're going to be publishing this blog post. So naturally, I would be putting that in the July section. And as I mentioned, there's a calendar power-up associated with this board. If I was to click calendar in this top right corner now, it's going to show me the calendar in a visual format. You can select week or month view. Let me just move my face a little bit. But we assigned the date of the 3rd of July for that blog, and as you'll see, it's there. So there's the baby blog, newborn photography, if you can ask questions, and here was the original blog that we assigned for Monday the 29th. Now, this is great if you're a visual person and you prefer to see things like this rather than in list view. I certainly find this useful, and I know a lot of my clients do. And the great thing about this is that if you decided that that date wasn't going to work for you anymore, you wanted to click and drag it to an alternative date, that's really easy to do. And then when you click out of the calendar view, you'll notice that that is now already been changed on the card level. So from July 3rd to July 2nd, for example. So it's really easy to make changes. And again, I would just suggest that this is how you create all the initial ideas in like almost like a brain dump of your blog ideas in one list, and then as you want to allocate it through to other months in the year, you simply do so. And this is a really basic way of mapping out your content plan for your blog. There's a ton of other things I could show you in Trello. So really this is just scratching the surface, but I did want to just talk you through the very basic functionality of Trello so that if you've never experimented before and you now wanted to play around, that you have an idea of what you can do within Trello. I'm hoping it also has already sort of inspired you as to how you might use this to brain dump not only your blog content plan ideas, but actually anything to do with your business or even your personal life. My personal life with different things I need to do for kids, school, personal bits and bobs. I've got in separate lists. I've got lots of lists actually, boards for all different aspects of my own business, for client work. So there really is on the unlimited options for using Trello, and I highly recommend you do check it out if you haven't got a similar system in place. I do think this has saved me a lot of heartache when I get a random idea just in the middle of the evening or just before going to bed. I often just click onto my Trello app, because there is an app that goes with this that you can download onto your phone. Quickly just find the board or the card that I've sort of got something I want to add or change, and then I literally make the edits and it's there for me in the morning when I come to work again. So it's really useful, really flexible, very simple drag and drop functionality as I've shown you, and it's really just a great way to map out any workflows in your business and to make processing everyday tasks and things that you do on repeat. You can do it really easily. So I hope that's sort of enticed you to kind of check Trello out, and do let me know how you get on. I will be doing some training on Trello in more detail, just to let you know more details about how you can use this in your business. So if that's of interest, do let me know.